Good afternoon, it is July the 5th on the plot, and today I'm just going to show you around. I didn't get a chance to put on a June update from the plot, so I'm just going to show you around the progress that we've had in the month of June on the plot. Right, so the biggest change that you might notice is that I've put this fence in nearly all the way around. It goes up to here at the minute and it comes all the way around here and all the way around here, and that is predominantly to keep out the deer because the deer keep coming in. They're only little muntjacs, so this is high enough. It's about 1.2 metres, which is high enough to keep out the muntjac, and they've been coming in and munching the tops off of all my lettuces, so I haven't had a chance to get anything off of these because the deer have just come in and had them up. Also, I've got a pheasant coming in and making a little dust bowl type thing and digging up my leeks, which I'm not enjoying. The reason I've got the fence is twofold really. It stops deer getting in and it stops pheasants hopefully getting in, although they can fly, they prefer to run, so hopefully the fence would make them go, oh, it's not worth it. But the other reason is our plot has a path that goes all the way around, which is a public path, and people come home at night from the pub and stuff like that, and some of these plots over here do get kind of vandalised every now and then. And do you know what, when people are kids, I understand that kids are idiots. I was probably an idiot when I was a kid. I'm probably an idiot now. Did daft things and didn't think about the consequences of it. So I can't really begrudge people doing daft things because I've been daft in my past. But one thing I will say is having a fence just gives people that extra second of time where if you have to physically cross over something to go into somebody's plot to actually do some damage, it gives you that extra couple of seconds to think, actually maybe I won't bother. So I'm hoping that it does do that. I haven't had any problems with vandalism yet. When I first had the plot, somebody picked up a lump of wood, a chunk of wood that I had, and just chucked it in a bush, but that's just kids because we're by a school. So I can't really complain. But hopefully having that fence, as well as deterring deer and pheasants, might just give somebody a couple of seconds to think, oh no, I'm not going to go and mess up this plot just for the sake of it. The weedy section, which I still need to get back. We've had such hot weather, it hasn't rained for 2 weeks. It's been permanently in the 30s, so everything is dry. If I show you over here where they recently stripped back that plot, nothing is growing, everything is yellow. This is the first time I've actually seen where I live hitching like this for and south of England for like this in a long time, where everything is yellow. The field beyond here, if you look at that, that's all going yellow. So I think we need to start thinking about the way that we grow now. If we're going to get more summers like this with no water at all, because this drought's ridiculous. I think hosepipe ban starts next week, understandably, and I think we need to change the way that we grow. I'm pleased to say that where I've mulched here with these brassicas, this is broccoli and broccoli, it's done them no harm at all. In fact, if I come over here, you might see in there I've got some heads forming on these broccoli here, and heads will start to form on this one soon. Turnips been absolutely fine, they're really ready to start coming out. And if I take you over to my other mulch bed, so that's my main brassica bed there, and everything in there that's been mulched is doing absolutely fine. So that kept a lot of water in the ground and stopped a lot of moisture evaporating up because it's got a big layer of mulch on it. So I think that helps, particularly when we've got weather like this. Over here where I have my onions, I harvested half of my onions that I'd overwintered, and I didn't harvest the ones that I popped in the spring, and these have been in a mulch bed. I did have some panics about having them in a mulch bed because people said it won't work, but if you look, the spring ones now started forming their bulbs and started coming up with quite nice sized bulbs actually, so there's not any problems with mulching them. Bulbs are coming through, you can see them poking through here and there, so there's not really any problems. It's kept the weeds back, they haven't had to compete with weeds, and I've got quite nice sized bulbs coming up. In this bed, the side that I did harvest, I was left in, so you see I've left in some onions that weren't ready to come out yet, and when they're ready I will take them out. I've got some butternut squash here and here, that's going to grow up a trellis, probably have two sides of trellis, or maybe a triangular one for them to grow up the 2 vines, and I'll support the butternut squash. And I've also planted here some sweet potatoes which are really kicking on now. They've only been in for a few days, but they're already kicking on. The plan is to grow these up the vines. I made this little frame here, and on each end is one string, and in the center is a string, so all of them will have their own string to grow up. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I've never done that before, but it reduces the footprint of those sweet potatoes. And then if I come round here, this is my cauliflower and cabbage bed. the weather's really destroyed these. So the cabbages are fine. The cauliflowers, you see they're bolting already. I had one that bolted here. I've got one that's getting a head on here. I'm going to try and cover it in. The butterfly's trying to get in. Nah, it can't get in. But most of these are bolting, and I think it's just been the heat. It's been ridiculously hot, unseasonably so. And now here, where I've got my bean tunnel of beans, they're starting to come up and they're starting to flower and starting to form beans. This side didn't grow so well, but they're coming up now. They're starting to come up quite high up the support, and they're all starting to wrap around now, which is good. I've got some beans forming as well, some French beans, so I'm not far off. Here we go, being able to harvest some beans, and if I keep picking them and picking them and picking them, they'll keep growing and growing and growing, I hope, and eventually they'll come all the way up and over this little tunnel that I made. If I bring you around to the bed that the beans are in, these are my leeks. I've got a lot more leeks to dib in. I kept some spare because sometimes they don't always work, and you can see along here where the pheasant's been digging, it's caused those leeks to not grow. My strawberries have been a fail this year. Not too sure why. I think it is because something's been digging them up, because you can see here where they've digged up a whole root ball here and here. But never mind, I'll try again next year. My sweet corn is coming along really nicely actually. Bit concerned because some of the emergency ones that I planted next to them that didn't grow, so I planted some next to are only just coming up now. And this lot are starting to be pollinated. So hopefully the 1, 2, 3, I think I might have another one in there that comes up later, will manage to pollinate themselves. Lettuces, complete failure. I'm hoping that when I've got the deer out, they'll start to form new heads. I can see where it is coming through. The spinach, had a lot of the spinach before it bolted, but the heat just went and they bolted. But we had a lot of spinach off of that, and when you consider how much spinach is in a bag, it's a no-brainer to grow as much spinach as you can. I'll wait until just before, in the autumn, when it starts to cool down again, before I plant some more spinach, and I'll get another load off of that. My beetroot is actually ready to start coming up now. If you're looking, I've got some nice sized bulbs in there. Some have gone ridiculously big. This one here, I don't know what happened here, but this one's gone very big. So they're ready to come up, and they'll be coming up in the next week or so. My pumpkin has got some flowers on, and I think if I look in closely, somewhere in here, over here, is my first pumpkin. I don't know if you can see it there, I'm pointing with my finger, starting to form. So I'm probably going to get, I want to have about 4 pumpkins on here, for the one for each of the kids and 2 for me, because I do like doing Halloween in my house. So the pumpkins are going to go here. In this little temporary tunnel, I've got some Brussels sprouts. Haven't weeded or done anything in there. I'm going to weed in there once I put on another structure to cover my Brussels sprouts in. The structure I'm going to put on will be similar to this one here, this curved one, because I quite like the aesthetics of it. Over here, my courgettes, doing okay, but again, something came in and kept eating everything. You can see where they've nibbled off some of the courgettes here, but it's still trying to grow. And I've got one forming here. I haven't had any yet. Normally I end up with so many courgettes that I can't, I haven't got anything, I can't eat them quick enough, I have to give them away. But they're slowly coming back now. You can see where some of the roots have come up where it's been watered too heavily. Celery, it's doing okay, and some clove artichokes there. Beyond that is all of the weeds. But the other great thing about this weather, well, the only great thing about this weather, is the weeds are starting to die back now because they can't get enough water. So as soon as they've died back a little bit more, I'll trim a little bit more, and I'll start taking them out so I can put in more beds, because this bed's of course going to run along there. This bed here where I've got these leeks that have gone to seed, and these are absolutely lovely, these flowers. If you get a chance, give them a pat, because they're such a tight head of flowers. It feels so nice. I'm tempted, because these will flower and flower and flower, to actually pick these and take them home and put them in a pot, in a vase, because they look so nice. But this leek bed is going to continue all the way down the side there, where you can see the fences. Over here to my peas, which are actually starting to, I've got lots of peas on here now. I didn't enjoy having to put so much wire around them to stop the pigeons, but they destroyed the first lot I put in. So I've had to put a load of wire around it, because I like them just growing. I to pick them off, I didn't know I was going to have to take all the wire off. But these will be ready to start picking, and hopefully I can keep those flowering. I'll give them a feed to give them a little bit more energy once I've picked the first lot. Here my spring onions just was too dry, So I've only got a few spring onions dotted about here. I've got a load more onions at home that I can pop in here if needs be, and I probably will, because I've only got about 15, 16, 17 that have actually managed to survive it. My shallots are nearly ready to come up. I love how these kind of divide and then they like pop one up in the middle. They push one up in the middle like a load of acrobats, and they kind of like, ta-da, we're ready. So they're going to come up soon. These butterflies they're a pain, but they're lovely at the moment. Garlic is ready to come up. My first lot got a load of rust, but this lot, if I look at the bulbs, are quite nice sized bulbs in here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what I get on these. These are ready to come up, and I've got a load of new scapes. I took the first lot of scapes off of the other lot and used it for pesto, which was absolutely delicious. If you get a chance, do that. This one's gone to flower, but if you get a chance to make some garlic scape pesto, do, because it is really delicious. My tomatoes haven't reached the top yet, but they're getting closer. I've been winding these on. They've all started flowering now, so it shouldn't be long before I start seeing tomatoes forming. I didn't actually, when I put these in, label what I had, so I don't know which varieties I've got, but hopefully lots of different varieties that'll all be very tasty. Carrots absolutely failed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 carrots I've managed to grow from a whole pack of seeds, so I'm going to probably stick in another load of carrots at some point. Just probably the dryness of the bed meant they didn't grow. And over here my potatoes, well, they did get a bit confused, these potatoes. The main crop came up and wasn't affected by a late frost that we had, and flowered first. Then the second earlies flowered next, and then the first earlies flowered. But actually they've caught up now, because these first earlies have died back. They're ready to come out of the ground. We've had some out and they were really delicious. The second earlies are also ready to come out of the ground, and the main crop is still going actually, although they did collapse. But we just propped them up, pushed them back in, and it's still flowering and still pretty healthy. So I'm quite pleased with that, and I'll start digging these up next week. So yes, this compost heap I've got here, I'm about to shift into this compost heap here to move it across to where I ate it a little bit. But apart from that, it's been quite a nice time on the plot this month. My strimmer broke, so I've replaced it with a new strimmer. So it was a bit raggedy for a little while, but it's all coming back now, and I'm really enjoying my time down here, even though it is so hot. Having to bring plenty of water. That's about that really. It's been a good month on the plot. I enjoy being down here. The butterflies look great. I know they eat everything and they lay eggs and eat everything, but it absolutely looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful, the birds, and I can hear the pheasants that come in and dig up everything. I can hear them in the little woods over there. So it has been a really nice month on the plot, and I'm really looking forward to next month. I would like a bit more rain. The sky is still bright blue, but I'll just have to keep coming down and watering. I'm trying to water it now every 2 days. Not every day, because I want to give the plants a chance to get slightly deeper roots. There's a guy on YouTube, I can't remember who he is, but he doesn't water his stuff outside at all. I don't know what he's doing now while it's like this, but when stuff's outside, he says the roots will find the moisture, but if you water them a little bit often, you're just going to kill them, because the roots will be shallow. They can't cope with weather like this. So I'm going to have a look at his feed and see what he's up to at the moment. But that's been that on the plot really. It's been a nice month. I've enjoyed myself. Thank you for watching.